okay? Or they'll have the combo tube in place. Oh, nice. I like it. Now, it's plastic on plastic, so a lot of times you don't get a really good visualization that it's in, but we'll make the assumption that it's in. So we got this tube secured. We walk into the ER, and the doc says we want to go ahead and intubate, so we're going to intubate around that combo tube. Okay? So somebody is ventilating while I get my equipment ready. A couple different, we have our standard laryngoscope and blades. We have one that's called a King. We turn it on, we can go ahead and visualize. And then we also have, what is this one called? Air track. The problem with this one is that you gotta, and you're getting really close to the patient, so with COVID, probably is not the best option. And we have our glide scope, okay? So once I got all my equipment ready, let me get my, oh, and by the way, with this one and with that one, you don't use a stylet. Just actually take the tube and put it there. So as I'm lifting it out, here's my epiglottis. I just slide it in. Once I got everything ready, I'm going to go ahead and have my assistant stop bagging. I'm going to deflate the blue tube, leave the other one inflated. Slide it out of my visual field. Come on, you. Verify placement, inflate my cuff, stabilize my tube, and now I can get rid of the other tube in the process.
I'll be your assistant, I should have done that.
I'm going to decompress my stomach by putting an NG tube down. Now in reality, this tube is a little bit too big for that, but we could go ahead and then hook up the vacuum and go ahead and decompress it. Once I have that done, I can go ahead and remove the air from this cuff, stabilize my tube, and pull it out. Okay. The last part of this is extubation. So once my patient, the problem with them being ventilated has been resolved, they have no reason why they can't be extubated. I'm going to do a couple different things. I'm going to do what's called a cuff leak test. And that's where I deflate the cuff and verify that when I ventilate, I can hear air leaking around. Part of the problem with long-term intubation is you end up having swelling developing, and that can complicate when we try to extubate, promote laryngospasm, or just make it difficult for the patient to be able to ventilate, and they'll have a lot of stridor. If they fail the cuff leak test, in other words, I can't hear air moving around the tube, contact the physician. And typically what they'll do is they'll put them on some steroids for the short term. And maybe once we do extubate them, put them on a cold aerosol to kind of cool and soothe that tissue. I'm gonna go ahead then and deflate my cuff, have the patient take a deep breath in, and at the peak inspiration, pull the tube out. Obviously I would suction prior to them being extubated, and also before I deflate the cuff, suction the posterior pharynx out. This is the tube exchanger. Oh, and then we, once we get done with that, put them on some oxygen. So if they're on 35% on the vent or whatever, I would go ahead and take 35 minus 20 is 15 divided by 4 is roughly 4. So I put them on a 4-liter nasal cannula. Okay. But this is the tube exchanger we're talking about. So if that tube is in, I can just go ahead and put this in and then slowly remove this. Take my new endotracheal tube. And just let it follow it back into the trachea. Okay. And that's it. That's the PE.